Your name is synonymous with love. Has there ever been a love, a romance for Leah Buscaglia?
Oh,
Hit time?
several romances. In fact, anybody who has read The Way of the Bull knows of two that I was very happy to share with people. And these were, one was a Vietnamese girl that I had met in Vietnam. Another one was an English girl that had traveled with me while I was traveling in Asia for a period. And those were beautiful, loving, caring relationships. The Vietnamese girl I've lost touch with after the war. It was impossible to learn anything about her. And the English girl is still in my life. And I have many such loving relationships. I have teachers that I have maintained, and friendships that I have maintained, and growing friendships still that are very beautiful and very important in my life. So of course I have loved, and it's through those loves and those very intimate, warm relationships that I've had that I have continued to grow. Without them, I don't think growth is possible. And what I'm trying to do is study on a scientific basis what keeps a relationship growing, what keeps a relationship loving, what keeps a relationship lasting. Because it seems to me that we're so very casual about our relationship. One day we say to somebody, I love you, and the next day we're saying, I hate him. And you know, what causes that? Happily, the relationships within the last 15 or 20 years I've had are still all in my life. And I never take them casually. We can't afford to take our relationships casually. So when I form a relationship and I say to somebody, I love you, I become responsible to them forever. And so I'm very much concerned about relationships.
Do you have a special hero or heroes?
I have 1,000 such. And from the beginning of time, there have been people that I've dreamed about. I would love to have a supper with, you know, this kind of thing. Great people that have loved deeply and have cared and have been willing to sacrifice even their own lives to make the world a more beautiful place for people. The Jesus of Nazareth, for instance, what an incredible experience it must have been to have known him. Buddha, the Gautama Buddha, such a great lover. I would have liked to have known Martin Luther King. I loved Eleanor Roosevelt. I loved her candor and her strength. I loved her ability to survive, and even in pain. Anne Merle Lindbergh, another woman I would dearly love to know. But I could go, you know, Lao Tzu. I'm sure I'm missing 1,000 because this comes as a surprise type of question. But all of these people have helped me to integrate my own life, to clarify my own thinking, to become a better person. And I know that they have influenced people over the centuries, just as they have me. And that's the most wonderful thing of all about having language, about having knowledge and education, is because you come in touch with the Aristotles and the Platos and the great minds that have thought through problems of ethics and so on in the past, and they help us so we don't have to continually make the same mistakes. You know, isn't it a shame that 600 years BC and right on through people have been telling us what it means to be lovers, and yet the world is so full of hate still. And it's because this is all there, and very few people are taking the time to pay any attention to it. There are very few people, for instance, in our culture that are not familiar with Corinthians and the definition of love, which is probably one of the most beautiful. And yet it's all there. And people have read it and read it and read it, and they pay no attention to it. They turn right around and do everything to the contrary. And then they wonder why they are not loved and why they're lonely. All of these things are there. It's only that we need to stop long enough to see them. You see, I never say anything that is original. I begin to believe I've never had an original thought in my life. The minute I have an original thought, I think, oh, Buscaglia, how wonderful. You just thought of something new. I find out it was said 700 years BC. You know, but that's all right, because I'm discovering for myself now, and that's a good process. But all of those things have value. And I want to remind people again, maybe in my way, which is a little bit unique, and maybe some people will hear again what perhaps they already know. and maybe put it into practice. If one person does, then my life will have meaning and significance.